Next, we're going to proceed to our panel discussion, where our speakers are going to exchange their views and share their insights. Please join me and welcome our moderator for the session. He is Mr. Stuart Bailey, Chairman of Hong Kong Exhibition and Convention Industry Association. Please welcome. Joining him would be the speakers just now. Please welcome on stage Mrs. Betty Fung, Chief Executive Officer of West Kowloon Cultural District Authority, Mr. Darren Burden, Executive Director of Kai Tak Sports Park, and Ms. Cissy Chan, Executive Director, Commercial of Airport Authority, Hong Kong. Please welcome. And now when our panel and speakers are ready, I'll pass the mic over to our moderator.
Thank you, Patricia. Right, the clock has started ticking. We've got 15 minutes to get through this. So we've all been introduced. I mean, first of all, I would say it's not very often that cities get, one mega project like this, but to have three of them all kind of coming online at once, I think it is probably quite unique anywhere in the world. But I kind of wanted to start, perhaps Betty, we'll start with the art side. Obviously, we now have a brand new bureau set up, sort of looking after tourism, arts and sport. And I'm sure that they're kind of giving you a lot of support. But I mentioned to you I was looking down on the district, and you've got 40 hectares of prominent waterfront site there. Could you expand a little bit on, I mean, that's a big bet on the arts. Can you sort of expand a bit on what the government's vision is, do you think, for West Kowloon?
Well, I think when the project was first conceived in 1998, I think then chief executives really want to inject an arts and culture element into the Hong Kong economic development. That's why we have to invest so much. But over the years, the role and missions of the West Kowloon Cultural District Project has evolved, especially last year when the CPG announced the National 14 Five-Year Plan, announcing that Hong Kong will have a new positioning being the Center for East meets West International Cultural Exchange. This elevated Hong Kong's positioning to a higher level, being the cultural hub for the entire country. So as an international cultural exchange hub. So the mission given to West Kowloon, as well as I think other arts institutions in Hong Kong, it now become not just serving Hong Kong, but really the whole of the mainland, as well as the country, and especially being the cultural hub of the Greater Bay Area. As Darren's pointed out, we have close to 70 million people living in the GBA cities. So there will be a new dimension to our job is to explore collaboration with the GBA cities, in particular the arts and cultural institutions. Now the boundary has not been fully reopened, so we are gearing up ourselves through our own initiatives, as well as discussion with the CSTB, the Cultural, Sports and Tourism Bureau, also with DANG, and also with the ETOs in the mainland, as to how we can attract people coming from the GBA cities to visit Hong Kong's arts and cultural venues like M+, Hong Kong Palace Museum, and also bring the best of the mainland Chinese culture and arts to Hong Kong. As the chief executive has mentioned many times, he really wants to see the world-class and also world-class arts and cultural programs to be staged in Hong Kong, and of course include West Kowloon, as well as the best of the Chinese arts and cultural programs to be staged in Hong Kong as well, to truly foster a cultural exchange dimension. So that would be the new mission given to us as West Kowloon Cultural District.
And when we think about sort of cultural and arts in other cities around the world, I mean, we think of Florence and Renaissance, perhaps, Barcelona, contemporary art, St. Petersburg, ballet, etc. What do you think Hong Kong, in 10 years' time, when the district is fully open and people have kind of got used to it, what's the kind of what's the key takeaway that people will think of Hong Kong when it comes to sort of arts and culture?
Right, just use the Hong Kong Palace Museum as an example. You can go to Beijing to visit the Forbidden City. You can go to Taipei to visit the Taipei Palace Museum. What's unique about Hong Kong Palace Museum is that we leverage on the Chinese national treasures, the exhibits, the loans from the Palace Museum, but use a very Hong Kong way. Hong Kong way doesn't mean very local Hong Kong. Actually, it's international perspective, because our team in the Palace Museum, they come from different countries, like M+. We have 33 nationalities in the M+. So it's really a new perspective of curating exhibitions, especially traditional Chinese arts and culture. For those who have visited the Hong Kong Palace Museum, you will see that we use a lot of interactive elements in our exhibition. So to the mainland institutions, they will see that Hong Kong really have a very different way of curating exhibition or presenting performing arts program. We have Jeffrey here. Jeffrey has been helping us to do a lot of the interactive exhibits in our galleries. So this is the strength of Hong Kong. So very different from elsewhere. Of course, collaboration with at the institution you just mentioned, Uffizi, National Gallery, Louvre, and Centre Pompidou, Tate Modern. These are our very close partner. We will certainly bring their collections to Hong Kong, just like what we are doing now.
That's great. So real sort of East meets West culture. That's a good reflection of what Hong Kong is. Moving on, Darren, the sports park. It's wow. It's an ambitious project. I mean, you mentioned the three objectives: promoting sport for all, supporting elite athletes, and making Hong Kong a centre for international sports events. Wow, that's quite a remit. Where do you think the challenges are going to be, and how are you going to go about sort of achieving some of those things?
Well, you're right. It is a big challenge. It's a big project and it's very complicated. And I don't, you wouldn't be surprised the number of people that come up to me and say, "Well, you've got a big challenge on your hand there." Look, I think the way that I describe Kai Tak Sports Park is that it's got a huge amount of bandwidth. And what I mean by that is, on the one hand, we have to deliver for people who want to come along and enjoy a picnic in our public open space, and have some family time, through to the people who might want to come and play badminton with their friends, to the people who might want to play basketball a little bit more seriously, all the way up to major international events with 50,000 plus coming in to watch an event in the stadium. So there are a lot of logistical challenges and operational challenges that we're working through right now in our pre-operation stage. And one of the things that I often say about the government in terms of their far-sightedness on this project is to ensure that the operator has been on board from day one. So we've been involved throughout the tender period. We've been involved throughout the entirety of the design period. We can't always get what we want in terms of changing the design or getting the design the way we want to, because there's a finite amount of resource, money, etc. in the project. But we've been able to influence to ensure that we're able to get that flexibility, for example, into the project, so we can deliver for community sport users. We can then deliver for major events. And then there are features across the precinct, like the Sports Health and Wellness Centre, which we're hoping is really going to be targeted more at that elite sports end as well. So, as I said before, you've got the spectrum on the one hand of trying to deliver community sports, from a community perspective, all the way through to the sort of more professional, commercial side of things in terms of major events and everything in between. So we're busy planning and doing a lot of work throughout our pre-operations phase to ensure that we can deliver that.
Great. And on your slide, I noticed that there's opportunities in there for MICE events to come in as well. I mean, what kind of events do you sort of anticipate there being, and how would they go about kind of talking to you about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. We're very much a sports precinct, so that's the first thing that we need to put up there. But we do have a remit to attract other types of events. We've got other spaces across the precinct. In the stadium, for example, we've got a function lounge which can accommodate 1,400 people in a banquet mode. We've got other lounges in the stadium. We've got VIP spaces in the indoor sports centre and also in the public sports ground. We want to make sure these spaces are used, whether that's for community use, whether that's for banquets or functions, what we call non-event day functions, because what we don't want to end up with is, for example, a stadium that hosts maybe 50, 60 major event days during the course of the year, but then what are we doing the other 300 days of the year? So we're going to build a sales team that not only focuses on how do we go to market to attract events in, those big events into the stadium and the arena, but also how do we ensure we attract entertainment and music events to our venues. How do we deliver that in terms of scaling our events to suit the needs of a particular event organizer? And then from a MICE perspective, we're not going to be competing with the convention centre, but we are perhaps going to be able to go to the market and say if there's perhaps a sports-themed conference that we can host, or a venue management conference, or something that ties in with Kai Tak Sports Park, then we've got some capability to be able to deliver those things and maximise that utilisation.
Great. Cissy, Hong Kong, it's had one of the best airports in the world for a long time, albeit it hasn't been used a lot in the last couple of years. But the project that you're looking at, sort of in terms of the investment in the cargo areas, in terms of sort of bringing people in to, fly and stay and parking the cars and everything else. It's going to require quite a lot of people. Do you kind of have an idea of where those people are going to be coming from? Do you have splits? How many are coming over the bridge? How many are flying in? How many are coming through the high-speed train? Do you have those sorts of ideas already?
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Yes, with all these developments, we are expecting to attract a lot of people to come to the Sky City to visit. And in fact, because there are so many developments, it is very difficult to pinpoint one single number. But then I think for reference, for example, we are going to have the largest retail dining entertainment facility as part of the Sky City. And if we look at pre-COVID times, the biggest shopping mall in Hong Kong is receiving like 70 million to 80 million footfall a year. So I think that would be a good reference point as a start in terms of how many guests that we are expecting to come to Sky City. As for the exact split, it's hard to tell, but we envisage that a good part of it will be from GBA because of the sheer population and the convenience of the bridge and all these transportation systems that we just mentioned, and also a very big amount from local because not only because of the attractiveness of the developments, but also with all the transport infrastructure. For example, Tuen Mun Chat Lap Kok Link is making it very convenient for the locals in the new territories to come and visit us, not to mention the Airport Express, the MTR.
Okay. Now, look, there are lots of opportunities. I mean, you talked about 800 shops and 180 restaurants. That's a lot of space to fill. How can people kind of, sort of get in touch if they're interested in being part of the project?
Yes, we've talked about a lot of developments, and we work with a lot of partners. For example, the 11 Skies is actually being built by New World, and so you're more than welcome to contact New World. And if you want a point of contact, do come to us, the Hong Kong Airport Authority. And then we also have many other opportunities like air cargo developments for the forwarders and so on. The first point of contact, you could come to us, and my colleague is sitting over there. So Jasmine is sitting over there and could be one of the points of contact because the business opportunities span across retail, air cargo, hotels, and there are so many.
Thank you. I mean, I've got lots of questions I wanted to ask you about, how the West Kowloon Cultural District is going to support the arts. I know that Hong Kong is the second largest arts trading hub in the world with all of the sort of auction houses and things. Very quickly, I mean, is that part of the remit? I see that Phillips are in, and obviously we've got Sotheby's and Christie's here.
Yeah, Fran is there. Yes, well, as I mentioned earlier, the West Kowloon Cultural District project is not just for arts and culture. Well, you can see that quite a large proportion of our GFA is devoted to commercial development. Of course, if you are in the arts and culture business, auction house, galleries, arts education institutions, etc., more than welcome to come here to form a cluster a really important cluster for Hong Kong. But we also welcome other institutions, financial institutions, as well as other sector, Invest Hong Kong's clients, everyone can contact us. In future, we are also looking for some MICE facilities. Of course, not to the scale of the AWE Phase 2 or CEC Phase 3, but we look to some arts and culture conferences and events. They are also welcome to come to West Kowloon. In the future, the development in Zone 2 or Zone 4, you may recall that earlier on we have an exhibition center of around 47,000 square meter. But now we are scaling down because of the recent developments in AWE and also CEC. But still we see there is a great potential for arts and culture themed fairs, art fairs like Art Central. Of course, Art Basel is a much bigger scale, but in future, I think for the mainland China, they will probably have some auction houses who are interested in setting up their headquarters like Philips in West Kowloon. So very much welcome the investment.
Okay. Look, in summing up, because it's bleeping at us already, gosh, where did the time go? We've got, I mean, it's very cleverly worked out. We've got arts and culture, we've got sports entertainment, we've got entertainment, dining, and sort of travel, all kind of positioned very cleverly. In sort of summing up then, perhaps I'll ask the panel for your kind of, you know, what's your wow factor of your particular project, and what do you think people are going to be sort of most excited about when they come back and have a look? Perhaps Cissy, we'll start with you and work our way back. Because you've got lots of wow factors happening out there.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the largest challenge for me. But then, if I may, I won't really want to pinpoint on one. So if I may, I want to say it's really from the city airport to the airport city. It's a city of attractions, if I may. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to help put Hong Kong back on the map. Darren, in terms of sort of sports entertainment, what's going to be I mean, obviously the Tenant, you know, you're going to have the Sevens as a big event that we all know, but I'm sure you're planning on adding many other things.
Yeah, look, I think the big thing for us is building on a brand which is probably going to be built around the most prominent feature on our site, which is the stadium, right? Whichever way you look, whenever you see an image of the precinct, the one thing that really sticks out is the Pearl of the Orient theme and the stadium at the heart of it. And that really, the stadium symbolise sport and all things that sport bring. And that's going to be our symbol as we move forward. That's, I think, what the world is going to sit up and take notice of. And certainly what we hope is that the entire precinct is going to become a real symbol of pride for the people of Hong Kong. And I think that's really important. Whilst we're looking at things through an international and regional lens, it's the people of Hong Kong that this facility is being built for. So that's really important that we shouldn't lose sight of.
Yeah, no, that's a good message. Finally then, Betty, for the arts.
Well, for West Kowloon, our core business is arts and culture. So I think the thing that will bring people back from time to time is our programs, our exhibitions. For our museums, every year we will have 3 to 4 special exhibitions, in addition to the very rare collections from Palace Museum. I'm sure this single attraction of having regular rotation of treasures from the Palace Museum, as well as our own collection in M+, and the special exhibition will bring people to West Kowloon, well, maybe 2 or 3 times every year. And of course, West Kowloon, as I said, is a very unique, because we are not just arts and culture, but we also offer holistic experience. Like Kai Tak, like Airport City, is really, you have to have very good F&B, RD to support arts and culture. Otherwise, as the former director of Leisure and Cultural Services, I understand people's complaint. They said, I come to a concert, but there's nothing to eat pre and after. So that's what we want to offer, very holistic experience.
Yes, we all know Hong Kong very well. We must make sure we're looking after people's stomachs as well as their entertainment needs. Okay, look, a big round of applause, please, for our panel. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you once again to our panelists, and of course also to Mr. Bailey for being a moderator. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to thank our panel here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you may now proceed off stage and be seated. Thank you so much.